What do you think of when I say the word influencer? Typically your mind goes to social media. I know mine would as well. In this video, we're going to review this book that just came out last week. It's called Authentic Influencer: The Barnabas Way of Shaping Lives for Jesus. And I also have one here that we're going to give away. Stay tuned at the end. I will give you details for that. I read this over the weekend. Now, how many of you, I love to highlight when I'm reading through a book. Where's my highlighter people at? Raise your hand. When I first saw the title of this book, Authentic Influencer, the title just screamed to me personally. When I first started my YouTube channel, one of my very first videos was me sharing my personal testimony. And it was never really my goal to have my YouTube channel kind of turn into what it is today. If you've been following me for a while, I do all sorts of things, artwork and unboxings. But my mindset when I posted that very first video is I wanted people to be able to find Jesus through me, through my testimony. And I did start to do unboxings and things like that that wouldn't seem to have anything to do with my faith. But that was, don't tell anybody, that was kind of the trick. My heart has always been, hey, maybe someone will find my channel just like, hey, looking at this random unboxing, and maybe walk away finding something they didn't quite expect. Even just last week, I had someone reach out to me in a message and it said like, hey, I just stumbled across this so-and-so unboxing and I looked at your about section and something just really struck a chord with her, and kind of conversation went from there. I'm like, oh, it's amazing. And I do. So on my laptop, I actually have a Word document set up that has just like a little blurb again about my testimony. And I try to put that in the description of every video that I do. So anyway, that's what stuck out to me, like just with the title alone. And then it says The Barnabas Way of Shaping Lives for Jesus. Who the heck is Barnabas? Again, that's what I was thinking. I can tell you all the main Bible characters. Like if there's like a children's Bible story about it, like I know Jonah, I know Adam and Eve, I know Samson and Delilah, I can tell you all those stories, but I'm like, Barnabas, I got nothing. So reading this book, that was a huge takeaway for me, is getting to know one of these Bible characters that I wasn't necessarily familiar with. And you know what? I think the best way for me to just share what really stuck out to me is just to go through and share some of the things that I had highlighted. I think it'll give you a good idea of what you can get from this book. The author is Jonathan Murphy. He is a professor, pastor, and author. He is the department chair of pastoral ministries at Dallas Theological Seminary, a board member of Insight for Living Ministries, and a teaching pastor in Texas. So here, I just highlighted one sentence. It says, what influence spreads from you? It says you don't need to be in a position or office of influence with some sort of fancy leadership title to obey this primary command. You can obey it from the very spot God put you in and for the benefit of whoever happens to be close by. And they're talking about the command of go and make disciples. But when you think about that, like just think about the people that you're going to encounter today. You don't have to have a YouTube channel, a big Instagram account. You are influencing whoever is in your circle. Here it talks about Barnabas. It says Barnabas lived out a faith that we can copy. He pops in and out of the book of Acts, but is never central in any scene. You would just read right past him and probably have on many occasions. And that was me. Not really noticing the significance of his life. That's because Barnabas was just an ordinary Christian. He was an everyday member of a local church. So you can kind of see through the life of Barnabas how, you know, we don't have to have some great title to have great influence. Influence matters. It happens all around us. It's not a question of whether it occurs, but what type is occurring. Some influence is positive, much of it is negative. Especially if you spend time scrolling on social media. Authentic, godly influence can occur anywhere. This was good here. So they're talking about disabling myths. And it says there's two common lies that cripple us. And I found this to be true. Number one, saying, you know, that's just not me. If you say like, I'm not a natural influencer for God because I'm not a natural leader. Only leaders influence. I'm just an ordinary Christian. Your ability to influence those around you does not depend on having a certain personality and charming qualities. Thank goodness. It is about the power of Christ in and through you. And the other lie is I'm a nobody, to say I'm not an influencer for God because I've no title, networks, or important position in society. Influencers have followers. This is not true. This reduces the boundaries of genuine influence to those with an official title in important places. That's not the Christian understanding of influence. Jesus didn't have an official title, and his own disciples influenced the world mostly from the bottom up. I like this. The most powerful influence on a human being is another human being. Human beings are contagious. We rub off on one another. This is potentially delightful and dangerous. A godly influencer saturates any and every environment for God. And at the end of every chapter, they have here some food for thought, and they have some kind of reflective questions. And it says, list those areas in your day-to-day life where you come into natural contact with others. Remember, these are sacred ministry spaces, opportunities for influence. Begin to view them as such. Directly or indirectly, our decisions, plans, actions, and reactions shape those around us for better or worse. Yes, God directs history, but his hand often does so through human hands. And so the question for you is, are you available and willing? Will you choose to see those around you the way God does, as brimming with potential, despite their obvious failures? It's amazing what could be unleashed in the life of another simply through your kind words, listening ears, helping hands, and connections. And that is what God wants from you. He wants to use you today to change the trajectory of someone else's life. Oh, this was another one where I just highlighted one sentence. And it says, you can influence others well only if you are following God well yourself. I can't be out there running myself ragged, thinking I'm doing anyone any good if I've not personally spent the time with God. If any of that is resonating with you, I highly recommend grabbing this book. Like I said, it was a pretty easy read. I read it over the course of this past weekend, and it was really good, really helpful, and just like a really great reminder of just that potential that is there for God to work through us. So I will leave the link down below in the description box where you can purchase it. I do have a second one here that we are going to give away over on my Instagram page. So follow me over on Instagram at Jen D. Doyle and look for the post there with the instructions of how to enter. Somebody's going to win a copy of this book. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.